Bubbly Steve is available for pre-order at shopclownfish.com. That's shopclownfish.com. You've got less than a month to pre-order this 15-inch plushie. Check them out. Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about the Jungle Cruise movie with The Rock. We did see it on, Friday and Saturday. We couldn't sit through the whole thing.
It was late, so I had to get up early.
Yeah, so we did watch it over the weekend. We have thoughts. We're going to give a spoiler-free overview, and then we'll give you a more detailed review. And we're also going to talk about some problems that some people are having with some characters.
Some things we've noticed ourselves, too.
In the movie. So if you haven't seen it, and you don't want to be spoiled, you might want to turn the video off. We'll try to be spoiler free.
Or initially.
Initially, but we're going to tell you.
We might slip.
We might slip.
Well, but some of the things we have to talk about, we're going to have to spoil some things.
We're going to have to spoil some
So,
things.
you've been warned.
Tough luck.
Yeah, you've been warned. We're going to try not. I mean, we're at this point, I just say, if you don't want to hear spoilers, turn off now.
Yeah. All right, You're still here. So, before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 225,000 subs. Thank you for the support. We do talk about Disney. We talk about movies, talk about pop culture, animation, comics, whatever interests us that day. We do talk a lot about Disney because we're huge Disney Parks fans. We've worked in and around the company in various capacities over the years. And, we have thoughts about the Jungle Cruise, not just the movie, but other things going on with the Jungle Cruise ride.
Which is one of your and Squid King's favorite attractions.
It is, actually. It's so cheesy.
Yeah, they usually go there, and Pinky Boo and I usually go to Space Mountain.
I don't like, it's funny because our nephew was over yesterday, and I was showing him the different versions of Space Mountain. I don't like Magic Kingdom Space Mountain.
And our daughter thinks that's the superior version.
I don't see how, but...
because she likes the thrill of it. I mean, if I was going to be objective, I probably would say that Disneyland's version is better as well.
I'm kind of biased because I went to Disneyland as a kid, and you went to Magic Kingdom and Disney World as a kid. But the Disneyland version is like an actual roller coaster, and the Magic Kingdom version is like a carny ride in the dark.
See, really, I think the Magic Kingdom is more of a real roller coaster than Disneyland. But Disneyland, you like it because it's side by side.
Yeah.
The sound's better, the side by side seating. You don't feel like your knees are in your chest.
Yeah, I can fit in the car.
And honestly, it has more light in it, I think. So it doesn't seem to go as fast.
It goes. I think it's smoother.
Smooth. Oh yeah, because Disney World's is really not smooth. But anyway, that's kind of off the point here.
That's a totally different. They were actually going to a true story. They were actually going to make a Space Mountain movie at one point.
That's true.
And I think they were going to have like zombies from Mars or something.
I forget now. I wrote about it before, but yeah. But that's not related to this.
It kind of is because we were talking about this. They could be planning potentially, possibly, maybe, an Adventureland cinematic universe, because this movie feels a lot like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right, but that would be Tomorrowland.
Yeah. Well, we'll just pull them all together.
And they're doing a Haunted Mansion one too right now. So, okay, we'll just say they're making an attraction universe.
Yeah, which they're kind of doing with
an ACU.
An ACU. All right. So let's talk about Jungle Cruise. It's got The Rock in it. It's a Rock movie.
It is. He kind of is like.
The Rock is The Rock in every movie he's in.
Yeah, kind of.
That being said, initial reaction, and I think we both agree on this, it's basically 5 or 6 different movies.
Yes.
Sort of thrown in a blender.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to be Pirates of the Caribbean, Indiana Jones, The Mummy.
Yep.
Jumanji.
Yeah.
And I would probably throw Romancing the Stone in there too.
Why not?
Because it's Romancing the Arrowhead. But it's like sometimes it feels like it should be like more than one movie. Or with the villains, it seems like they're taking villains from Indiana Jones and Pirates of the Caribbean. They couldn't decide which ones they wanted, so they put them both in there, and it doesn't necessarily work together.
There are a lot of bad guys in this movie, and the motivations are sort of iffy.
Yeah.
It's like...
But the conquistador motivation, I think, makes more sense than the
Yeah, are we allowed to spoil it now?
I don't care.
I don't care. Guys,
we already said at the beginning.
Yeah, we can't, like...
You cannot talk about this without ruining it.
So, here's the deal. We've got proto-Nazis, we've got Germans, and we've got Pirates of the Caribbean style supernatural conquistadors.
So the tree in this is kind of like the tree, almost like the Fountain of Youth. I was gonna say like the Fountain of Youth.
Yeah, it is. It's
the same plot device they use in a lot of these movies. It's like basically like the tree's petals are like can cure any disease. It's the flippin' flower from Tangled. It's the Fountain of Youth and the Ponce de Leon stories.
Which they did in one of the Pirates movies. Now, what's interesting about this, again, where I'm going with this like cinematic universe, whether or not it's a good idea is a whole nother thing. This is Disney we're talking about. They don't always, listen to good ideas. But it does feel like this movie very much could take place in the same universe as the Pirates movies.
Right, especially with the bad guys turning, because they've been part of the jungle so long, they're turning into the jungle.
Part of the ship.
Yes, same idea.
It's the same idea. These bad guys are right out of Pirates of the Caribbean, and then also Germans. Germans, for some reason.
And then I want to talk about the one thing that's glaringly obvious in this movie, women power.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm going to say, that they handle it for the most part better than most Hollywood films do it in this day and age. It makes sense. Like the Dr. Lily Houghton seems like a female Indiana Jones, or like Edie from The Mummy. And to be fair, back in that time period, women academics weren't actually taken seriously most of the time. So it makes sense that she would have been kept out of things. But they're very obsessed with her wearing pants. They call her pants. Everybody's mentioning her pants because she's a girl wearing pants.
How dare she?
Yeah, they would have called them trousers back then, not pants. But, they might have called them pants, who knows. But they are very obsessed with this. And, even at the end of the film, when her brother's sitting there talking about, because they had to have him address the audience because the women have to sit up in the gallery, separate area. He's talking to them, this male academic, conglomeration thing. Anyway, he's talking to them, and they're all believing all his mystical tales until he gets to the part about, and there's a tribe led by a woman, and they're like, oh, yeah, boo. I'm like, come on, you had Queen Elizabeth. Bullshit.
Yeah, right.
Cleopatra led Egypt. Bullshit.
Yeah, I know. It really hit you over the head with the woman power thing. And spoiler, and we're going to talk about this because this is actually
everybody's talking about it.
This is making the media very salty, and I am scratching my head just all the way around. Trader Sam, who was so problematic they had to remove him from the ride, is in this movie, but they have a gender-swapped version of Trader Sam.
Oh, because the racism doesn't count when it's by a woman.
Yeah, right? So
they cancel each other out.
But, she's got the hat and everything. She actually does look the part. I mean,
yeah,
I'll
she
give her
does.
that. So my feeling, and the natives actually play a pretty large role in this movie.
I think Maverick.
Yeah.
That's the native story in this movie.
Yeah. So I'm sitting here scratching my head because I'm like, guys, you took the natives and Trader Sam out of the attraction and replaced all the brown people with chimpanzees. When you could have based them on the movie version and at least met people halfway. Been like, we're gonna, just play up that this is a joke. You could have even had the skipper say something that this is a joke because they're played as a joke in the movie. They're not actually the savages. But they're in on the joke.
It's played as a joke, but it's not. They're not the joke. They're in on the joke. They know people think of them and they just play it up, and they work with The Rock's character Frank to play up that whole stupid stereotype narrative, and that it is a joke in the movie, but it's funny because it's okay and they have Trader Sam when it's a woman. And actually, Squid King, was completely right on when he said, so we had to take the natives out of the Jungle Cruise because it was so problematic and we had to be culturally sensitive. But in this movie, the two heroes are a white woman and a colonizer. And he's not wrong because, spoiler, it turns out he's one of the stupid conquistadors that's cursed also. The colonizer. Yeah. The colonizer.
Yeah, so,
But if you got spoiled, I don't want to effing hear it because we told you several times not to listen if you didn't want spoilers. So it's on yourself. So if I hear any comments whining about it, I'm going to be like, well, it's on you.
There are a lot of head-scratching moments in this. Now, my big thing was, again, it felt like it was trying to be 5 different movies. It really did. It felt like they were like, well, we want to do another Pirates, but Johnny Depp's kind of problematic right now. Who else is hot? hey, The Rock.
Right. And
Rock's
hey, we got Indiana Jones. But we have to stick with Harrison Ford. People are going to get mad. So let's make a female Indiana Jones, and then we can spin this off later into other movies down the road, starring her.
Right.
And that's kind of what and then you have the other stuff thrown in. And this is definitely set up they could do more.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah,
they could. I mean, I'm really on the fence about this one because it is a serviceable.
It's not a terrible movie.
It's not a bad movie. It's just a movie.
It's a solid okay.
It's a solid okay. I think that's probably the best way to put it. It is entertaining for what it is. There is literally nothing original in this movie.
I think the ending, the last quarter of the movie is probably the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's when it got more interesting. We turned it off because one, I had to get by the next day, but also we were kind of getting bored. And then I watched you're laughing, but it's true. And we watched the last quarter of it last night, and that actually was the most interesting part of the whole damn movie.
Yeah, it does deviate from the ride quite a bit. They poke fun at the ride, which is kind of interesting with the fake hippos in the back.
Well, he does. He makes the jokes, but I mean, they need to do that. It's Jungle Cruise. That's what Jungle Cruise is known for.
Yeah,
I'm like that. I have absolutely no problem with that.
No. But they do get in there because the movie itself, other than that, doesn't feel anything like
right. They're two different things. Don't go into this movie expecting the ride, but then the ride they're changing. Because they have to be culturally, sensitive, and then they put the characters that they're removing for cultural sensitivity in the movie. But it's okay. It's okay. We gender bend it. It's all fine now because it's gender bent. Trader Sam.
Yeah, this is actually pissing off a lot of media outlets, and I actually was scratching my head because
so was Squid King. There's what?
Yeah, because I didn't know anything really about the movie going into it. Just hey, they're doing a Jungle Cruise movie, and I figured, well, since these characters are problematic now, quote unquote, they're probably gonna just nix them from the movie completely. And I was very shocked that they were actually a central part of the movie. That they kept the natives, and I'm like, okay, well, if you can do that. Then why couldn't you keep Trader Sam, just make him, her a little more...
That would have been just as much of a problem for people. Because I think people are just getting effing tired
they are.
of the whole... It's very cliche. The whole race or gender bending bullshit. And I was like... And they're like, oh, it was so smart of Disney. I'm like, I was expecting it. I mean, I wasn't expecting Trader Sam per se, but I knew they were going to race or gender bend something. Because they always do. It's what they do. And then they act like they're stunning and brave. But it's all you did was, take an existing character and, hand me down to somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's they're trying to please. I actually do agree with Slate in this way. They are trying to please to audiences. But people go see a Jungle Cruise movie. That Trader Sam is one of the most recognizable, merchandisable, bankable parts of the Jungle Cruise.
They even have the bars are named after him.
Multiple bars on both coasts named after Trader Sam, and they have taken him out of the ride, and they just put up his fencing operation.
Yes, it's a lost and found that he has taken over to sell the lost items. He's fencing the lost items because that is so much better and so much more culturally appropriate. I'm just I don't know who, I can't even. Now, the one character I did really like was her brother McGregor.
Yeah, he was actually a good character. Of course, we had the moment where he sits down and is like, in case you didn't realize by now, I'm gay.
It doesn't say that. But...
No, because China, we can't.
But it was really cool. I'll tell you what.
He was a good character.
He was a good character.
I thought he was a good character.
And it was diversity done well because it was about the character who happens to be gay. Being gay wasn't his whole damn identity, thank God. He actually was done really well. Actually, I think he had the most character growth of any of the characters in the movie.
I think he was the only character that had any.
I think you're right. I would watch a movie with with McGregor and Frank. Not in that way, but
whoa!
No, but those two would be funny. But I would watch. I mean, I like him because he started out as he has all the luggage. He has bring the cliches. Oh, he had to come with all his luggage because he's the woman and all this other stuff. And then by the end, he's kicking ass and taking names too in his own way. I just really like him. He's probably my favorite character in the whole movie.
I think he's the only character that had an arc. I don't think any of the other characters that had an arc.
No, I want to point out something I think they did do wrong on this. When he's talking, his character's talking to Skipper Frank. And he's talking about, like, they're like, why, if you don't like this kind of stuff, you like the jungle, why are you going with your sister? You know, why are you doing that? And basically the story is, and the reason they have this narrative about it is because when basically people found out that he didn't like women, he was going to be ostracized, but his sister stuck by him. And since she always had his back, he's going with her. So basically it is acceptance, but because she's accepting him, he owes her. And that's what I didn't like. I'm like, because, you know, if she just accepted him, she wouldn't care, you know, if he didn't want to go. But because he felt like he needed to go, not because he had to protect his sister, but because he'd follow her to the ends of the earth because she stood by him. And I'm like, well, that just sounds like, you know, because she accepted you, you feel like you owe her something. And that was a little bit, I think, you know, off-putting, because I think the whole message should be people accept you for you without wanting anything in return. It should have been, oh, I'll follow her anywhere because she's my sister and she's always getting into trouble and someone has to look out for her. Yeah. You know, something like that. Or
like, I actually like my sister. I'm not
right. And it's fun. And sometimes,
like,
you know, she gets
to her.
Yeah, she gets us into trouble, but, you know, we have fun and I want to watch, I want to make sure I take care of my sister. But actually she takes care of him more often than not. But, that's not how they presented it. And I think that was kind of like, look how progressive we are. But then you got that thing in there that I thought was kind of like shitty. I mean, it really was like, well, I owe her. I'll follow her to the end of the earth because she's the only person that stuck by me. And it's like, well, that's sad. Anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as, I mean, look, a movie like this, you know, given that this was designed by committee, you can tell this movie was designed
that's why
by
there's
committee.
5 different movies in one.
It's 5 different movies. They're like, you know, we're going to hit all the demographics. Like, we want it to feel like Indiana Jones. We want it to feel like Pirates of the Caribbean. We want it to feel like they sat down and meeting, like, what would a Jungle Cruise movie look like? Ooh, Pirates of the Caribbean. Okay, that's good. Ooh, Indiana Jones. Yeah, that's good too.
Ooh, dinosaurs. Oh, no, they don't do that one.
I'm surprised. But
they do have a CG cat that looks not great all the time.
Okay, that's actually my biggest complaint about the movie, just visually, is the CG seems very unfinished. It seems very, for Disney, it seems very budget cut.
Now the end wasn't too terrible.
No, but
they spent a lot of time with the last sequence.
Yeah, but the animals looked very fake. I mean, we're talking like 1994 Jumanji fake.
It wasn't that bad, but it was. I don't think it was that bad, but they were pretty like. I mean, I get you can't have a real like jaguar fighting him on, you know, in the movie because it would make it hurt, but still.
It would be funny if they just got a guy in a costume.
Well, but that's probably what it was. It was probably somebody in a green screen costume fighting him so that he can, you know to move out of the way and everything else. It's probably something like that is what they did have him act with. But anyway, it's not a terrible movie. I mean, it sounds like we're saying it's a terrible movie. It's not a terrible movie.
It's a very okay movie.
If you're totally fine going in, knowing what it is and expecting it, and that's what you like, then you will probably like this film. I would watch it again. For me, if I say I'll watch it again, that means something. Like, I have never watched Captain Marvel again, and I thought it was an okay movie. I have yet to watch Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, we still haven't seen it. I haven't seen it either.
Right. So for me, saying it's something I'd watch again, that is a positive. That is something. That is me giving it a kind of a partial thumbs up, or like I'll give them 1 out of 2 thumbs ups.
Yeah.
I mean, because it wasn't a terrible movie. It was a good movie, but for what it is. I guess maybe now we're just more aware of the pandering shit.
Yeah, it was, look, this movie was obviously designed by committee to hit certain notes, and not just with the demographic. Like, we want the Indiana Jones crowd, we want the Pirates crowd, but also like, well, those movies are too masculine, so we have to make sure that we, women power,
but we've done it before with the
gay
Mummy.
Rights, and
with Evie and stuff. Yeah, and I'm like, and I love that, and I've always liked the,
Marion, Indiana Jones.
Oh my gosh, before that I didn't give that a thought. So I mean, we know this, except she's not so much a damsel in distress very often, But anyway, that aside, here are the numbers on Rotten Tomatoes.
So, critical reviews, 63%, audience score, 93%. Again, can we trust Rotten Tomatoes when it comes to anything Disney at this point?
Wait, isn't that review bombing by the critics?
Oh my God, it might be.
And look, there's way more reviews than they had on Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, there is.
I know a lot of Disney fans are like, "Oh my God, it's amazing!" But I will have to say, the first things we noticed was the natives, how they portrayed them in the movie compared to how they're behaving in the parks, and there was a definite like double standard there, for lack of a better term. So,
yeah, I just think it's weird because I'm like, if you guys were gonna go, especially if you're gonna go for brand consistency, I'd be like, they might want to wait to see how the movie did, but I'm like, I personally think there would have been less pushback if you had treated the natives and made some jokes saying that this
they already
was a
were
joke
kind
or
of like,
like,
well, you can't make
look
fun
at
of them,
Bugga.
that's bad. But they made fun of them in the movie.
Yeah.
But they were in on the joke. So it was,
How hard would it be like, hey, thanks guys, we'll talk in the break room or something.
Yeah,
After a joke like that, then you
yes.
kind of can win both ways.
They could have done that.
I don't know.
So it was kind of like Disney doing their usual talking out both sides of their mouth. It's just, that's how it comes across. Now, you wanted to mention this real quick?
I do want to mention this because speaking of Disney's, talking out both sides of their mouths, there's been a lot of discussion about these lawsuits or a lawsuit with Scarlett Johansson suing them because she did not get all of her royalties, all of her pay.
Now, somebody mentioned, I did see an article. They said, $20 million. That's basically the base pay for these people, for most of these actors on these movies.
For the tentpoles, yeah.
Right. And then they get a percentage from the box office, too. So it ends up that they're actually making like $75 million. I mean, to people like us, in the world of normal people who don't have that kind of money, that seems like an awful lot of money, and it really is. But, she could have made a hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
And because the way they did things, and then the way that they're turning around now that, well, you were a shitty person, kind of how they're implying. They're implying, because how dare you with the pandemic going on? What kind of, trashy person you demanding more money?
Yeah.
But like, as I pointed out before, Disney has no problem using the pandemic to their advantage to take advantage of people for money.
So now there's talk of Emily Blunt and Emma Stone maybe suing Disney as well. Who's not suing Disney is The Rock, because he's got better agents, I guess.
Well, no, here's what happened. Guess whose production company helped make the Jungle Cruise movie?
Oh.
Guess whose production company is doing the Behind the Attraction series for Disney Plus? That's right, it's Dwayne Johnson's production company. I think it's like, I forget what it's called. It's like $7 Productions.
Oh, $7 production, yeah.
Him and his one partner, who also I think are part owners in Adam Films, by the way, too, along with Disney. They're investors in it.
Yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah.
They're the ones that produce, I think they're a production company behind this film. So what I'm hearing is, now it's interesting, the link that they used to have where there was evidence of this from Deadline, I can't find now. But in articles back in May, they're talking about how when they decided to switch it over to Disney Plus for the Jungle Cruise, that Disney had reached out to the production company and to make a special arrangement with them. So, moving forward to go to Disney Plus, that they made some kind of agreement. So his production company already has an agreement with Disney moving to Disney Plus. So I'm sure he already got his payout then. So, because he would be, I think, the most impacted because of his production company. So I think he already got his money then. So of course he's not going to sue. Or he has all these other deals with Disney with his production company.
Yeah.
Of course he's not going to sue.
Right.
So he's good to go. And they're like, well, he's not suing. I'm like, yeah, because he likely had a deal already in play when they decided to go to Disney Plus. He already probably got some kind of special arrangement.
Yeah. And we don't know yet how it's going to do at the box office, but yeah, she might be a little
She's
salty.
just weighing her options. They aren't saying she's going to do anything, yes or no, but
well, this is what they call a bad look, because a lot of people now are like, how come it's mostly the female actresses? For all of Disney's talk, let's lift female voices, let's believe all women. Now all of a sudden it's female stars that they're having problems with.
Well, here's the reason. To pander to these new guidelines and stuff, the movies that have been coming out have been female led. So the ones that are impacted by the Disney Plus theatrical split, have been, except for the Jungle Cruise, female-led films. Yeah. Mulan, Raya and Last Dragon, which is more animated. The Black Widow. We had Cruella. Those films are the ones that got caught up, and they're all, except for Jungle Cruise was a split lead, they're all female-led films. So of course it's going to be all women. Because those are the ones that have been impacted. Now, moving forward, like Shang-Chi and stuff supposed to go to theatrical only. Well, they were. I'm waiting for that to change now that we're having these, huge boost in cases all of a sudden. Yeah. For, they're going to start shutting stuff down again.
Disney will just shut everything down to get out paying people or something.
Yeah, but the reason they're calling her out is because she dared, not just sit down and take it.
Yeah.
they expected everybody just to sit down and take it. But it sounds like she has like actual copies of letters from her attorney talking to their attorney previously, like, say, oh no, if something changes, we'll let you know, work something out, that kind of thing.
It's going to be really interesting to see if people stay away from Disney, though. They'll be like, yeah, it's not worth it because we know we're going to get screwed. But
I just find the double standard of Disney hilarious. But that's just me.
It is Dismal Disney Daily. Daily. All right, so we got to wrap this one up.
Yep.
So what would you give the Jungle Cruise?
I don't know. I said in the review I did on Pirates and Princesses, you can go out there and read what I wrote. I said on that I'd give it a 6.5. I was leaning between 6.5 and 7. I went 6.5 mostly because of you.
Well, what does my opinion have to do?
Because I wanted to see, because I'm representing both of us. I wanted to make sure I met in the middle.
I'd give it a 6. I mean, it's watchable.
Okay, so 6.5 is fair. That's what's the difference between us.
It's not terrible. It's hard to ignore that it is aping other movies. You know,
it really is obvious.
You know, but it's functional entertainment. It wasn't unwatchable.
But just make sure you separate the two in your mind. They're not going to be the same thing.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap it up?
Yep.
All right. So please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.